This is Cumberland Rover. My name is Nick, and I'm headed for the Crik right now. I sailed along the northern shore of the lake over there till I got to the dam, and then cut across to the southern shore. I've now paddled my way all the way back almost to my point of origin. Just gotta snake my way through this network of creek channels and sloughs back here to get back to the truck. Today's topic: the reactions people have to a DIY wooden boat when they see it out on the water. I stopped briefly over here at the campground on the other side of the lake just to take a little breather on the beach there, and I'd pulled up by a porta boat that had a set of short oars and a little outboard on it. Actually, it was a big outboard for a porta boat. It was a 5 horsepower 4-stroke. That's a lot of motor for what seems to be like a vinyl boat, a plastic boat anyways. But I talked to the owner. He came down from his campsite all worked up. He was really excited. He was like, "Man, I came down here, I had to see your little boat. What is this thing?" He's like, "Did you build that?" And I think that's always good when someone is maybe a little bit uncertain whether you actually built the boat or not. That probably means it was a good build. But you know, you always love to get reactions like that of people who are really enthusiastic. And most of the reactions that I get are similar to that, or at the very least they're positive. People say, "Hey, did you build that? That is pretty cool." But occasionally I do get those people who are just beside themselves, almost overjoyed, like they didn't know it was possible to build a boat out of wood and use it. And you know, it's a great feeling, obviously, when I do get that. But I certainly don't build my boats to please people. I do it because I have to, really. I read somewhere that the truth about creativity, or about artists, is that we create because we have to do it. There's a sense of overwhelming compulsion, and that really is what it is for me. When I get an idea in my head for a design that I want to build, it almost consumes me. It just eats me up, and sometimes to my own detriment. Sometimes I end up spending money that I shouldn't on building a boat, or spending time that I don't have. You know, I really haven't had any overtly negative reactions to my boats, but you do occasionally get the bass fisherman in an expensive hog rig sort of looking at you funny, like, "What are you doing here, buddy?" I had one of those guys not that long ago looking at one of my boats, and he was like, "Oh, did you build that?" He's like, "Well, I thought it looked awfully square." So you do get that kind of a thing, which it doesn't bother me. Another really positive reaction I got was actually to the very first boat that I ever built, that I don't think I've shared on this channel before. The first 2 boats I built were really similar. They were both small scows. One was 8 foot and one was 10 foot. I think I have showed the 10 foot. In fact, I think that's in the build video for my 15-foot skiff. But the 8 foot I've never shown a picture of before. In a way, it was kind of like a PD racer, but I insisted on giving the sides a curve, and I actually probably would have been better off just making the thing have square corners and using up an entire sheet of plywood like a PD racer. I had adapted it from one of those old Popular Mechanics plans from one of their scows, but this scow was supposed to be 14 foot, and I thought, okay, I'll just scale it down to 8 foot, which is kind of ridiculous. But you know, I didn't know anything at all at that point. I was just learning, and the boat did float and did sail. I didn't even use any kind of adhesive. I just used, I think I used caulk. I used screws and caulk to make that boat, and like 1/2-inch plywood for the bottom, and the thing was fully decked, so it had all kinds of problems, but it did float. But to get to the point finally, the day that I launched that thing, I happened to run into another guy who was about to set off on a canoe trip on Lake Barkley near the Cumberland, and that guy was very enthusiastic about me having built a little boat, and he wanted to take a picture with me and a picture of the boat. But he was about to set off on a big camping trip for several nights. He had prepared pemmican, and he was just paddling just kind of your standard aluminum canoe. But that guy was so excited to see what I was doing. He couldn't believe it. So I would like to hear from viewers if you have a home-built wooden boat, or I suppose any kind of home-built boat. What are some of the interesting reactions that you've gotten from people? Looking forward to hearing from you in the comments.